Hello and welcome to the Wildcard round of NFL Gamepicks. Man, oh man, playoffs are finally here. Two of our teams are in here. One team is unfortunately not. So we'll kick it off with you, Chris. What are your thoughts heading into the offseason?
Well, we're on the clock, so we got to see what we're going to do with this number one overall pick. We finished with six wins this year, I believe, which was only like 2 off from what I predicted. I think I had 8 to 9 wins, so not too far off. It was a rough start to the year, but we finished pretty strong considering all things, all injuries too. We just fired our OC today. So that's great news if you're a Bears fan, because that play calling sucked ass the whole fucking year. The whole year. Anyways, so it was a tough week. We lost to the Packers. That's never easy. I kind of wanted to keep them out of the playoffs. And then the Jags lost too and disappointed me before the Bears. So it was a tough week overall for this guy.
And our resident cheesehead, Joey, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling real good right now. The Green Bay Packers are in the playoffs. Youngest team in the league in a rebuilding year in the playoffs. Jordan Love looked great once again. Was named the MVP today. NFC Offensive Player of the Week today. So for the second week in a row, kind of happy about that. They're looking good heading into the playoffs. They're getting hot at the right time. Aaron Jones is fully healthy. He's had 3 straight games of over 100 yards rushing, which is the first player to do that since 2006, which was Amon Green. So shout out to Aaron Jones. It's good to see Showtime back and rolling, and hopefully he does it in Dallas because he's 3-0 there against the Cowboys. So we'll see. Last time he was there, he had 4 touchdowns in a game, actually. Set a Packers record. I don't know. I'm hyped for the playoffs. I'm just happy to have a spot. This might be my last week with my team playing, so I'm just taking full advantage of it.
Can kind of relate to you.
Yeah, bro.
Dolphins are in the playoffs, but unfortunately not division champions. Didn't win the AFC East. They lost by 1 touchdown to the Buffalo Bills. Not the best showing by the Dolphins, especially heading into now literal do or die type of games. You know, you got to win in advance, or if not, your season is completely over. And Dolphins haven't been the hottest team entering the playoffs, getting a lot of injuries. So things are looking down. I have my spirits up. I'm hoping that they can pull it off in probably what's going to be the coldest game in NFL history. So
One of.
Yeah, so that's something to be in itself. But aside from that, things should be interesting for this entire slate of NFL games. We got 6 games on tap. Super wildcard weekend should be very, very interesting. Without further ado, we'll get into the standings. On top of the leaderboard, we have Yadian with a season record of 177 wins, 95 losses. The only person here that did not exceed triple-digit losses. So shout out to you, Yadian. I think he had the best week last week as well, going 12-4. I mean, just absolutely killer season by him. Steve went 171, 101 total record, 11-5 last week. And then in third place, myself, 10-6 last week, 169, 103. And then we'll jump down to fifth place. Who do we have in fifth place?
Yeah. I got into the top 5, 11-5 week last week. Hopped Chris. Officially, we were tied last week at 6. Now I'm ranked 1 above him. Pretty cool. Usually was kind of in the lower rankings for this, but I know I had a good week last week. Predicted a lot of stuff these past couple weeks that helped my team get into the playoffs, and I was right. And the Green Bay Packers are in the playoffs, and a lot of the cookie crumbled in my way. So let's see if we can keep it rolling throughout the playoffs.
Chris, how you feeling?
Yeah, I didn't have a terrible year. 163, 109. I think that's kind of where I was almost last year too. I believe 9-7 in the last week. Yeah, I got jumped by Joey, but I am still in 6th place. So not terrible.
You're still within the upper half of the leaderboard, so it can't be horrible. There's interesting matchups ahead, so why don't we just dive into it? We'll start off with the first game, where we have on Saturday. It is the Cleveland Browns versus the Houston Texans. We have a 4:30 kickoff. This would have been very, very interesting. Should have Deshaun Watson still being healthy, then it would have been him against his former team. Instead, we got Joe Flacco starting for the Cleveland Browns, which should make it pretty interesting. This is a tough one. The Texans squeezed in terms of being a division winner by the skin of their teeth because the Jaguars folded at the very end of the season. And then, they just handled their business against the Colts, secured themselves an automatic playoff spot, and then it ended up becoming the division championship. So that was pretty interesting to see. I will go with the Houston Texans, but I'm kind of uncertain, man. This Browns team is pretty good. Screw it, I'm flipping. Got to early and often right here. We got to go with the Browns. They've just been too good all season long. But the Texans, man, there's something different with C.J. Stroud. I like the defense a lot for the Cleveland Browns, but we'll keep it moving to Joey. What do you got?
Well, for me, it's really hard to pick against Joe Flacco as well, but I am going to for sure pick the Houston Texans here. Lock me in for them. Really young team. I like what they have going. They're almost the Green Bay Packers of the AFC with their young talent and the explosiveness. Don't roll your eyes at me over there, Chris. All I'm saying is I like the Houston Texans in this game. They're a young squad, and they're going to prove a lot of people wrong in this AFC playoff picture. Would like to see Joe Flacco go back to Baltimore, potentially down the road. Don't know how that plays out with the seeding. Don't know if you can. But whatever. I'm going with the Texans here. It's a good story while it lasted.
For the Browns to go to Baltimore, pretty much all the home teams need a win except for them.
Okay.
So then, in that case, the lowest seed will face Baltimore, which would be the Cleveland Browns in that scenario. Chris, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Houston. I think the Flacco fantasy has to end somewhere. I think it ends here in the playoffs. Houston's the home team. That Cleveland defense, though, does scare me in the fact that they'll keep it close, but the Texans' defense is actually pretty good, too. So, and I believe they finished top 5 in sacks this year. So if they get after Joe Flacco, and I think they'll be all right because I think C.J. Stroud is figuring out the NFL pretty quick. So I think he might even pick up a rookie first win here. So
the one thing I want to add for partially the reason I'm picking the Browns, they faced each other 3 weeks ago, and Amari Cooper had a field day against that defense.
That's right.
And Flacco got a little bit of good amount of rest, not playing this last week. And I don't know. There's something about it. And I get it. That game, C.J. Stroud wasn't playing, but I don't think he moves the needle that much in that game. Like, the final score was, 36-22? So maybe Stroud makes it at least 30-36. But even then, the whole game's a little bit different with him at QB instead of, who was it? I forgot his name right now.
What the hell was his name?
Case Keenum?
Was it Driscoll?
No, I think it was Case
No.
Keenum.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So, yeah, Case Keenum over Stroud in that game, it definitely doesn't help the Texans' case in terms of that performance. But at the end of the day, this Cleveland Browns team has proved time and time again why they're one of the top teams in the AFC, even though being the 5th overall seed in the conference.
Davis Mills?
No, Davis Mills is the third string now. He was the
gosh.
starter last year that led to them getting C.J. Stroud. But I'm gonna keep things moving to the next game on the slate for Saturday, and that is Miami Dolphins versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I spelled Miami wrong because I'm illiterate. Anyways, fixing the graphic here. Miami Dolphins versus the Kansas City Chiefs, 8 o'clock kickoff. Game's on Peacock. You have to have a subscription or something for that, which, not a
that
fan.
sucks.
Last time there was a game on Peacock, it was Bills Chargers, which a game I wasn't really all interested in, so found the workaround for that. But we'll see what happens with this game. Definitely have some more lines to the teams playing here. I'm not going to waste your guys' time. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. The weather for this game is going to be awful. It's supposed to be literally at 0 degrees and then -9 with all the wind chill into account, 10 to 20 miles per hour in winds. It's supposed to be possibly one of the coldest games that kick off in NFL playoff history or in just NFL history in general. I don't want that to be the main narrative. I want this to be, the Dolphins or the Chiefs came out really well and performed really well given the conditions. And hopefully they can get healthy in this sense in terms of having Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle come back. If the wind is too big of a factor and they can't pass the ball, it's a little bit concerning, but I do like the Dolphins' odds in that favor. But Kansas City does have a good backfield as well, so that should make things a little bit interesting there. But let's hope Dolphins come out healthy, and hopefully they could come out with a win here. But wouldn't be too shocked if Kansas City comes out on top. But who we got here, Chris?
I'm going to roll with your Dolphins. I think when it's that cold, no team really has an advantage, even though KC does play in the cold a lot. When it's that cold, I think it's kind of an even playing field. Everybody's just freezing their tails off. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I do think running is going to be a big factor, like you mentioned. So Devon Achane is averaging, 8 yards a carry this year?
About 6, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been nuts. So, he's been going off. Mostert had the most touchdowns in the whole league. So hopefully you guys can figure out how to run the ball. Not figure out. Hopefully you can just run the ball and get the win. Tyreek Hill also likes playing in the cold. He always has pretty good games in the cold for KC when he played there. Plus he's back.
The first game back for him.
Back where it all started. So that's going to be cool to see too. Hopefully he torches them for a long touchdown in the snow. That'd be sick.
Joey?
I'm going to rock with the Kansas City Chiefs here. As much as it pains me to do it, I hate the Kansas City Chiefs this year, especially with the whole Taylor Swift BS. Just really makes me hate them. And plus, I'm kind of over them. I feel like it's somebody else's time. I'd love to see the Miami Dolphins win it here. But the fact of the matter is they've only beaten one good team all year. It's going to be really cold. I don't know how to feel about it. The Kansas City Chiefs are super beatable. I hope Miami wins, but lock me in for Kansas City.
Yeah, if the weather conditions were a little bit more favorable in terms of cold and how much wind there was, I would tell you what are you doing not taking Miami? But I just think what you said, Kansas City's used to this. They've been practicing in this all week, so I would suppose they've played earlier this season in Germany, and that was a one-possession game, and that was very crucial, similar to what happened last week against the Buffalo Bills that needed a game-winning drive, and the Dolphins faltered on offense, and it was mostly at the hands of Tua. So hopefully that's not the narrative of why the Dolphins lose this upcoming game, but I'm fully expecting them to come out, perform well, given whatever conditions are thrown their way, and hopefully come out with a win. But we'll toss it back to Chris for this next game.
Yeah, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Buffalo, New York, where I'm sure it's going to be just as cold, if not colder. And probably more snow, too, because it snows there a lot.
Really?
Anyways, Anyways, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I think they're just a better team, honestly, by far. I think the Steelers are probably the worst team in the playoffs, I would say. Maybe them or the Packers. But, I'm going to take the home team here. Give me the Bills.
It is expected 23 degrees. A little bit of overcast, but I wouldn't say anything about snow from what I'm seeing here. Anyways, I kind of agree with you. The Steelers took a big blow losing T.J. Watt earlier this week, so that was in the game against the Ravens to secure themselves a playoff spot. But I got to go with the Buffalo Bills. They've showed towards the tail end of the season why they were able to move up in the way they did and secure the number 2 seed, obviously, by beating the Miami Dolphins. They are legit, and man, the game against Miami, I'm not gonna lie, they got some lucky scores. The deflected touchdown, and then the punt return. I wouldn't say it's lucky. That was just how lucky of them to end up getting that. But not to sound like a sore loser or anything. It's just they made some big plays, and it is what it is. That's how they ended up winning that game when it was big time for them. But yeah, securing the number 2 seed was huge for them, and they get to play a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are down in luck, but they've been better ever since they've fired Matt Canada. So let's see if things can continue offensively with the success they've been having. But defense took a big, massive hit with losing T.J. Watt.
I'm going to rock with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, actually. I think that the Buffalo Bills are not a clutch football team. I don't think Josh Allen's a clutch quarterback, and I think that they have been really bad all year, but they are turning it on at the right time, yes. They did have a lot of lucky touchdowns with the punt return and then that ridiculous toe drag against the Miami Dolphins last week. I don't know, man. Pittsburgh just is going to surprise. One of these teams is going to surprise people. Why not let it be Pittsburgh? Mm-hmm. I really think that Buffalo is a vulnerable team in the playoffs at the number 2 spot. I don't care where they sit. I don't care that they're a division leader. Josh Allen in the playoffs has been nothing but terrible in his entire career. If he wins this game, congrats, you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But what if he loses this game? That would just be the nail in the coffin for him, in my opinion. And potentially the Buffalo Bills' future. I think that their Super Bowl window's shut. They're looking to open it right now, but I don't know. I think I'm rocking with the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
I wouldn't say it's entirely shut, but it's like the light is fading at the end of the tunnel, you know. But let's throw it back to you. What do we got next for the 4:00 game?
Oh man, we got the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round, the 4:30 slot on Sunday. Man, I am excited that we are in the playoffs. I don't know why, but I'm excited that we're playing Dallas. I know a lot of Cowboys fans, grew up with a lot of Cowboys fans, so this rivalry always hits home to me. I hate the Cowboys more than a lot of rivals within my division, so I'm really hoping the Green Bay Packers pull out a W here. They have never lost in AT&T Stadium. They're 9-0 since 2009, including a Super Bowl win, which something to consider. Aaron Jones has also never lost to the Cowboys. We are playing Mike McCarthy, though, and these Cowboys look deadly. CeeDee Lamb specifically, I'm very scared about. This defense for the Green Bay Packers, I still don't trust with Joe Barry, but I'm going to rock with the Green Bay Packers. Come on, baby. Go, Pack, go. Let's do it.
I'm going to go on the other side and take the Cowboys. Like I mentioned, I don't think the Packers are a very good team. I think they kind of just snuck their way into the playoffs, but I'll give you your flowers. Jordan Love has looked pretty good, but this guy is coming for him.
Jesus.
Micah Parsons, baby. No one's guarding this guy right here. And like you mentioned, no one's going to guard CeeDee Lamb either. We talked about it at work today. So I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think they're the better team, although they kind of finished the year a little rocky, but I think they get a win here. If not, Jerry Jones is going to set that place on fire.
We're playing with house money, baby. What happens if we win? Hey, great.
Yeah, great.
But what if the Cowboys lose, dude?
That's what I mean.
Burn the building down.
It'll be bad.
Yeah.
It'll be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with you guys. Like, if the Cowboys end up losing this game somehow, like, geez, like, what's going on? That being said, I am going to pick them to win. It's just like you alluded to, like, they've been on such a good roll lately. Like, I think they've had a really good season. I would say, like, obviously you have a lot of these tough matchups, and they had similar characteristics to the Dolphins, like losing to these teams, only beating these like minus 500 teams, and then losing to the top teams. But at the end of the day, they've been consistent. At least when they've been doing that stuff, they've been scoring a lot. It's been close games. It's not like they're getting blown out by a bunch of teams. I would say like the Bills and the Dolphins games are like big hiccups in the road, and then they lost like a close game to Philly, and then another game down the road. Like, it's very tough to sustain that for very long, so I want to see if they can continue that into the playoffs. But man, oh man, if they end up dropping this one to the Green Bay Packers, it's not good looking.
We're their
over
worst
there in
nightmare.
Dallas. Yeah.
They don't want to see us.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really want to see them either, but like, hey, we got to go there. We got to face somebody, right?
Yeah.
History's on our side.
All right, we're going to take it to Chris for this next game. What do we got, Chris?
This is probably one of the games I'm looking most forward to. The Los Angeles Rams going to Detroit. A lot of things going on here. You could call it the Jared Goff revenge game, Matthew Stafford returning home game. It's a lot of things. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm taking the Lions, but, man, I am a little scared of Matthew Stafford coming back in there and trying to win this game. But I hope the Lions pull it off. For a lot of reasons. I'm watching with my dad, so it's going to be fun to actually see the Lions in the playoffs for the first time in my life. Just kidding. But, yeah, give me the Lions. Hopefully they win, but hopefully it's a good game. Did you see that they were trying to ban Stafford jerseys at the game?
I saw that. That's a little salty.
They posted it, and, like, Stafford's wife, like, got all upset, and, like, she responded, yeah.
And for that, I'm picking the Rams because Matthew Stafford in a revenge game.
Yep.
Pretty beast, bro. Not going to lie. Matthew Stafford in the playoffs, too. Like, from the little tastes that we have seen him. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl run, but, like, before that with the Lions, not terrible, I guess. But, like, hey, they got a really killer offense with Kyren, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua. Defense, I don't think I can name a single soul outside of Aaron Donald. but they're doing their thing. They're 10-7. They're the 6th seed. They're traveling into Detroit. Matthew Stafford's pissed off. His wife's yelling at him to beat the Lions because they're trying to ban his jersey. I'm rocking with the LA Rams here.
Man, this is such a tough one to pick. Like, Lions have had a tremendous season. This is the best season that at least I've seen since I've been alive. Like, aside from probably one of those earlier years with like Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford being together and like going to the playoffs, etc. Right? Like, this is a whole different Detroit Lions team. And 2 years ago, when last time they faced the Rams, they were completely defeated when they played against them. So it was a completely different vibe. Now Stafford is like coming and the Lions' den and probably going to sacrifice one of them. I don't know. He just might. Man, I really, really want to go with the Lions, especially at home. But what I saw in Dallas the previous week, 2 weeks ago, really is deterring me from this pick for the Lions. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I just think they're going to cost themselves a possible opportunity to go ahead and win this game. If it comes down to the wire and they have to either kick a field goal to tie the game or go for 2 and maybe botch it and not report in, who knows? Like, I don't want that to be the scenario for this Lions team, and I'm scared that's going to be the case, that they're going to get a little bit too ahead of themselves and not worry about the current time instead of thinking, oh, let's just go ahead, win here, and go on to play whoever else is like one of the lower seeds that advances. So, yeah, that's a big concern for the Rams, but I think... Man, it's just tough. Like, this is probably one of the harder ones for me to decide, truthfully, just because I think they're very evenly matched, and this Rams team is like one of those teams you don't want to play in the playoffs just because they're getting hot at the absolute perfect time. But if you guys have nothing else to say, we'll go on to this final Monday night game. All right, we'll do it. We got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a Monday Night Football Wildcard Weekend special. Both of these teams... How are they in the playoffs? I understand the Eagles, they were 10-1 at one point in the season and then have really fallen off the wagon, losing 5 of 6. So not good luck for them. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just squeaking in. I mean, not even scoring a single touchdown against the Carolina Panthers in the final week of the season, but still winning 9-0. Yeah, man, I'm not too enthused, but I feel like both of these teams are so average that it makes it a lot more interesting. One big thing to take away is that this Philadelphia Eagles team got banged up against the Giants. And Hurts messed up his finger. I believe A.J. Brown messed up his knee. And then I want to say Devontae Smith got another injury as well.
And Swift.
Yeah, I mean, the whole offensive unit is pretty banged up, which is a bit concerning. If they're good to go and like they seem like they're healthy to go, I will go with Philly. But for the time being, I will go with Tampa, just assuming that they're not ready to go. So give me the Buccaneers, big home game for them. But man, oh man, if Philly comes in at least somewhat healthy, then I will go with the Philadelphia Eagles. But otherwise, Tampa should be able to take this one.
Yeah, the Eagles are banged up. I think they are the better team for sure. It's crazy that this game's actually in Tampa and not in Philly to me. But like you mentioned, they're banged up a ton. I'm going to take Philly. Just for the time being, unless something crazy comes out with like Hurts or A.J. Brown. I think Darius Slay got hurt too, I'm pretty sure.
I think he's been hurt all year or something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know who's going to really be covering Mike Evans for most of this game, so that might be like a really big factor. But I think Philly is the better team. Austin, I believe you were with me. We worked this game a couple of years ago, actually, and it was brutal. It was so cold, so rainy, and Tampa killed the Eagles, destroyed them. I kind of feel like the script might flip. I think the Eagles might get a big win here and maybe get some confidence and be a scary team going forward in the playoffs.
To be fair, that was with Tom Brady at the helm, so a little bit different. But I agree with you. Like it has the makings of that, but it's just this Eagles team was in the Super Bowl last year, and like they're the team to beat inside the NFC East and the NFC, aside from maybe San Fran right now. So should be interesting.
Man, I feel like I gotta pick the Eagles all year, but I'm not going to. I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ooh. And let me talk to you, man, because the Philadelphia Eagles, man, oh man, did they have a good year all year, surging. But they they fucked around and got cute, man. They ran one play all year. The tush push within, even 3 yards on 3rd and short sometimes and 4th downs. They really just got cute. Their passing defense is terrible. I don't know how they're going to guard Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or Rashad White, the running back's going to run all over them. Their defense is abysmal. Their defensive coordinator sucks. Matt Patricia has no business being in the NFL. Oh, man, it's really tough to be a Philly Eagle fan right now, but I don't know, man. They acted like they invented being good all year, so I have no sympathy for them. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They tried being a little innovative towards the end of the season and like doing a little bit of different stuff out of the tush push, which was actually like brilliant. But they should have done that so far ahead of time, just because it was just like, they kept on doing it. And I understand. They were converting it, and it was efficient. But people catch on.
Yeah.
And I get it. People don't really stop it. But once they start getting close to stopping it, that's when you bring that stuff out. And unfortunately, I think they were a little too late in doing that. And like you said, this started getting cute and just not looking good. That's why I've been deterred to pick them in this one. But injuries also play a huge factor in that. Any comment else on this game? No? Nothing? All right. We will talk about really quick while we have some time is who were you surprised in not making the playoffs, not winning the division, etc.?
I'll go, and I'll probably just segue here to Chris a little bit in this. I'm very surprised that the Jacksonville Jaguars did not make the playoffs. This is a team that was playing the Tennessee Titans in division, right? They're in the same division.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a brain fart there for a
Yeah,
second.
all games last week were
in divisional, opponent, and the Tennessee Titans did not need this whatsoever, and the Jacksonville Jaguars just choked it. And then the Tennessee Titans go out and fire Mike Vrabel, so it's just makes the loss even more disheartening if you're a Jaguars fan. That is really surprising to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers having made it is also really surprising to me, but we needed them to win to get in. But yeah, Chris, how do you feel about your Jags not making it?
It stings, honestly. They were like one of the teams to beat. I think they were like, 3rd in the NFL overall rankings at one point this year. Like, there's no way that they should have lost. I mean, they got hurt, I guess, but they should not have lost that last game. Trevor Lawrence looked terrible, by the way. Like, he threw 3 picks directly to the other team. It was not a great look at all. If they're not the most disappointing team, I think the Los Angeles Chargers are probably the most disappointing team this year, especially with Herbert. I mean, obviously you don't think he's going to get hurt going into it, but even by the time he got hurt, that team was very disappointing. They weren't going to make the playoffs, so I think it's got to be them. Like you mentioned, the Bengals not being in the playoffs is surprising, but again, injury kind of is why they didn't make it. But same with like the Vikings, they were favored to win that division or at least compete with the Lions, and Kirk Cousins gets hurt, and obviously that goes to crap. So there's been a few disappointing teams, but the Jags definitely might take the cake. If we're being real, we all thought the Jets would probably be in the playoffs this year too. So
I think
there's that. That was pretty surprising.
I think our expectations for the Jets were quickly altered in that first week.
Oh,
for sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
But preseason, we all thought
they would at least make the playoffs.
We all thought they were going to make the playoffs for sure.
Oh, man.
So ones I would like to add are the Seattle Seahawks. They were a pretty good team and just above 500 at 9-8, just missed the playoffs. Atlanta Falcons throughout the year, they got my expectations up and they totally faltered. Giants was a big letdown, but I kind of wasn't big on them. Another team that surprised me, the Denver Broncos, after they had a pretty good surge towards the end of the season, couldn't just make it in. Colts was very surprising with Gardner Minshew at the helm, still being able to stay afloat, be competitive, finish the season 500. Just missed out on a playoff spot. That was very hurtful for them, I could imagine. But the future is bright there in Indianapolis. Is there one team that didn't make the playoffs this year that is going to make the playoffs again next year, I would put a lot of money on the Indianapolis Colts, especially with Anthony Richardson. That offensive unit should be nice if Jonathan Taylor stays, because that's a huge part of their offense. Another thing I want to add is all the coaches fired. I'll start rattling a couple off that happened most recently, and then we'll talk about the other ones that were like in the middle of the season. So Arthur Smith, no surprise there. He just failed to use his weapons. Ron Rivera, I was a little bit shocked by it, but the writing was all over the wall. It just wasn't a successful tenure there in Washington, aside from winning the division in 2020. Mike Vrabel, that was a huge shocker. But two back-to-back losing seasons. I think writing wasn't on the wall. It was a little bit surprising for me, but at the same time, like, I think the Titans just let go one of the best coaches that is available for the market now. Pete Carroll stepped out from being a head coach, but
is forced out.
Yeah, essentially. But he's staying within the organization
for now.
Yeah, and then there was McDaniels from the Raiders in the middle of the season. Brandon Staley for the Chargers, and then is there anyone else I'm missing that was like mid-season? Can't think of it off the top of my head.
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels for the Raiders. And then Frank Wright for
Frank Wright.
The Panthers. And I think that's pretty much it. Still waiting on Bill Belichick news. At this point, if it hasn't happened yet, I don't think it's happening.
I think it's happening. I mean, I think Bill Belichick's not going to stay with the New England. I think that he played,
after Saban just retired too, man. It's kind of like, if Belichick same year, that'd be the two goats going
It's really
out.
kind of sad. Like, I don't know. I was watching Pete Carroll's press conference, and he was getting teared up, and I was like, damn, this is...
Yeah, he's crying.
This is sad. Like, we're really, we all know Bill Belichick's not going to be with the Patriots anymore. So it just feels a little weird, like that the times are changing. And then like 20 minutes later, Nick Saban retires, the greatest college football coach almost in history, or one of them at least. He's on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yep.
So it's just wild, man. Like, times are really changing in the NFL. I mean, freaking Jordan Love was second in passing touchdowns this year, for God's sakes. It's kind of a wild time.
One last question. This is still revolving in the coaches. Which coach would you love to see to go to a certain team? I know a lot of people have been floating around Bill Belichick to the Chargers, et cetera, but I just want to know, which team do you think would have the best chance of landing a certain coach or whatever it may be?
I would love to see Mike Vrabel with the Patriots, provided Bill Belichick, gets fired or leaves or whatever have you.
Would you
I know
allow
he's still
that
under
with
contract.
Bill Belichick staying as the GM? Or
No,
just
that would be
get rid
terrible.
of
He
him
needs
completely?
to leave in general. I mean,
Okay.
in my opinion, he's leaving, but I would like to see that. If not, I think that Dan Quinn to Seattle is almost a lock, in my opinion.
I really love Dan Quinn in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a little callback, and I feel like it's part of the reason Pete Carroll may be sticking around in terms of being an advisor. Is like, all right, like, this is someone who's familiar with our system, and then on top of that, just I can usher him in and like really make things easier for him, and not really have too much of a presence, but still, hey, what do you need? Like, what do you need, Dan?
Yep.
Like, I'm here for you. Like, I will always be. My door's always open for you, and like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but if you ever need advice, I'm right
It's like
here.
a Tom Coughlin scenario, like when he was with the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Love to see Harbaugh come and coach my Bears, to be honest.
Oh, boy.
But
Flash in the past.
apparently we're keeping this Eberflus character for at least a little bit of next year. So I'm not too thrilled about it. Would have loved to clean house. He's not clear yet. They still might do it. But, it'd be nice to get some offensive-minded people in that building.
You better hope they do it.
Yeah.
'Cause if
so-
not, we feasting for another
Well,
10
we
more
got
games.
your boy, Luke Getzey, and he
You guys
sucked.
sucked.
Yeah, he
Well,
sucked.
yeah, he had Aaron Rodgers, dude. Yeah, he carried, dude. What do you expect here?
Oh, he was bad. So,
Yeah, you guys
anyways,
sucked.
I would have liked a new head coach, but it's not over yet. But it's not looking likely for us.
I think at least him staying as a head coach solidifies the fact that I think you guys are still somewhat committed to the fields. Polls in the press conference today was kind of like, we're committed to Justin, but we're in an unprecedented situation right now that we have a franchise quarterback in our building right now, but we also have the opportunity to draft somebody amazing with the number 1 overall pick. So we're kind of teetering with our options here. They had the same predicament last year, and a little bit more unproven of Justin Fields. I feel like you can say the same thing for this year with all the injuries that he sustained throughout the season. But
he said he proved himself.
Yeah.
Paul said that Fields proved himself, but I mean,
what does that mean though? Like at the end of the
they
day,
are in like a weird area. Like, don't get me wrong, they're gonna listen to offers, and if somebody were to offer a couple like second round picks for Fields, they might listen to that and say, hey, we'll take Caleb. It might be a little bit of a setback, but if we have Marvin Harrison with him, with DJ Moore, and, offensive line's pretty healthy, it won't be that big of a setback, to be honest. I mean, look at C.J. Stroud. He led that Texans team to the playoffs. So could be a situation like that. Personally, I'm still not fully out on Fields, but I'm close.
What would you rather do? If you were the GM, what would you do?
We haven't been able to prove that we can develop a quarterback. So, like, personally, if you really are keen on getting somebody else as a quarterback, I'd love to see, like, us trade for, like, somebody on the out, perhaps, like a veteran.
Y'all need to pull a Jets.
Kind of like the Rams did with Stafford, almost. I don't want Stafford this late in his career, but something along the lines of that.
Russell Wilson?
Whatever it might be. No, I think Russell Wilson's too past his prime too. It would have to be somebody. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head right now, but I don't know. Maybe the Bills want to move off Josh Allen or something like that. I'd rather do somebody that's proven than, because we haven't proven we can develop a rookie quarterback.
I like the move for Josh Allen. Like, I think that would be very, very interesting for you guys. You just gotta hope that the Steelers just blow up that entire organization this weekend. If not, Josh Allen is not going to be on the move. But I get where you're coming from in terms of
my
like,
buddy. My buddy was like, "Would you take Justin Fields in the first overall pick for Trevor Lawrence, and just do a full kind of reset in Jacksonville?"
I'll do a first round pick swap, and then like swap players and swap first round picks.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence necessarily moves the needle. He hasn't proven it yet for us personally, but. No, I wouldn't do anything along the lines of that, but we'll see. We're on the clock. It's an exciting time to be a team that's not in the playoffs for sure. If we have to be the most excited team right now.
That's not in the playoffs
That's not
for
in the
sure.
playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, coming so close, literally 7-10 season, and having the opportunity like down the stretch to make the playoffs with obviously things going your way, but just the performance itself, the Bears tightened it up at the end of the season and were able to shape up that defense. Field started looking pretty good. A lot of close games. What can you do about it? That was pretty much the moral story of the previous season, so it should be interesting. But last little tidbits. Dolphins game on the road against the Chiefs instead of at home against possibly the Steelers or possibly against the Bills again. So that would have been very interesting to see, but kind of like it this way. As much as I would have loved to see the Dolphins at home in the playoffs, it definitely stings that that's not the case, but what can you do? Just hoping to have a big performance against Kansas City, as however it may come, depending on if this weather makes the passing game non-existent. Just run the hell out of the ball. If it's just a shit ton of snow, like, don't wear all white. I swear to God, if the Dolphins wear all white on Saturday night, I'm gonna lose my shit. Especially if there's just like a ton of snow. At least wear the aqua pants. Like, that's all I gotta say. Like, don't make an issue for yourselves. That's all I gotta say. It's really frustrating.
They should wear those orange jerseys that they had during the color rush years. But yeah, the Green Bay Packers are traveling to Dallas. Nervous, I guess, but I'm just happy that we have a dog in the race. I would be very happy if we win the game, but like I said, I'm not going to be surprised overall if we do lose. Just lucky to be here. We'll be watching the game in Milwaukee, so going to be around my people, so it'll be pretty cool. Hopefully we're all having a good time and not heartbroken as a unit. It's going to be super cold, about 10 degrees, maybe 3 degrees by the time the game's happening. So bundle up. Anyway, yeah, Pack, go. Let's shock the world, baby. Come on now. Jordan Love, keep playing well.
Are you gonna be at Walensky's?
Walski's?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I might go to Walski's, but I'm thinking about going to this place. It's called Lefts. It's over in Wauwatosa. It's near where my dad kind of grew up. It's a pretty cool place. Their urinal has like a little target in the middle, and like you fill it up and it goes bing, bing, bing. Whenever it's kind of fun. Makes peeing fun.
They might put like Dak Prescott's face by it or something.
They should.
Chris, any final words?
Yeah, looking forward to watching this Lions game with my dad and seeing who the 49ers are going to play because they're the only team they get to buy. So.
Play the Packers.
Yeah. Ravens are also on bye, and that is it for the teams on bye. And they'll play whoever is the lowest remaining seed. So let's say the 7th seed wins in either conference. They're automatically playing that team. But aside from that, it should be interesting. The season is going to shape up how it typically shapes up. I'm expecting most of the home teams to win, but a couple shockers here and there. Should be fun. But appreciate you guys for watching. And we'll catch you guys in the divisional round. See ya. Peace.
Later.